But we're gonna buy you. All right, Danger, I got you. Let's bring the big man in. Say hi, Danger. Say hi, Danger.
What is going on, people?
All right, so just so you have a recap. Well, I don't know. You heard? Did you hear my audio thus far?
I didn't hear much.
That's okay. That's okay. Hold on. Let me do this first so they can see my twin brother, see how alike we look, which is a running joke now for the people who have met us and live in Phoenix. So I was addressing how Blizzard is getting picked up because Blizzard Activision, because Activision needed a fresh infusion of blood because they literally have like one major thing going them for right now, and that's Call of Duty. And the last 6 Call of Duties in a row have just been reskins of their predecessors. Now, much like Fortnite, though, as common and white bread as it is, it still prints money like crystal meth. So there's that. So Activision needed something else. They bought Blizzard, and then Blizzard is now the sexual misconduct.
Oh, yes.
Then getting caught trying to dispose of the evidence of the sexual misconduct.
Under
court order not to goddamn do it. And then they released the WoW DLC and ignored what the crowd wanted. And now they're ignoring it even more as the crowd gets louder. And now they've dumped off to... so much is dumped in the MMO world over to Final Fantasy. So what's happening? And then I connected that to, while it's not nearly the shit fire it was, because as much as, mistakes and credit are due where they are due, the Fallout 76 release, of course, was a trash fire when it was released because Todd Howard and the other developers stood in front of E3 and other electronic conventions and just ran their mouths and lied and bullshit.
Oh man, the way 76 launched, everybody was like, no NPCs. It was a shitty mess. Like, the only person I knew that was playing it was you.
Yeah.
It was you, and you had started a Facebook group, I remember, where it was like 300-400 people. I was like, yo, if you're not a part of that Facebook group, I don't know who you playing with, because it was like nobody playing that. It was like nobody playing it outside of this group that you created.
Yeah. So there's that. So what Microsoft is doing is taking these companies who fell hard, cracked their teeth, and broke their noses, maybe got back up and limped, but they were limping because they just weren't actually recovering. And Microsoft is now targeting, smartly, these agencies and buying them up to help generate income. And people are saying it. I'm gonna break this down because, like everything else on the internet that is flagrant and reactive and stupid, people are trying to say that Microsoft is trying to do a cornering the market exclusive thing. Maybe they are. That can go both ways, but they're like, Microsoft's horrible for wanting to do exclusives. Okay, bitches, I got 2 syllables in one word. Sony. So quit bitching about people trying to corner exclusives.
People complaining about Microsoft buying up everything, but for the longest, for almost the whole Xbox One cycle, the whole running joke was Xbox don't got no games. Xbox don't got no games. So then Microsoft was like, all right, bitches, we don't got no games? Let's buy Bethesda.
Cool. We're going to buy entire publishing firms with multiple studios under.
Oh, okay. So let's buy up 20 companies. Okay, we're going to make all their games exclusive. Oh, wait. Activision is in a hole right now? Buy Activision. Now we got games, bitches.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling
people come at Microsoft, and Microsoft said, okay, we haven't done this in a while. We're going to flex our change. And they just started buying motherfuckers. And they bought companies that have gold mines but made dumb mistakes. And if it's one thing Microsoft knows how to do, it's make a mistake and recover from it, because literally every other version of Windows has been a shit fire. So, I want to point that out.
Yeah. So, like, people forget that Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo at one point, and they had the money to do it. And this was about 10, maybe 15 years ago. They went to Nintendo, they had a meeting with Nintendo, and what it was supposed to be was a meeting to try to maybe convince them to let, like, some of their IPs on the Xbox. So, like, try to get Mario on Xbox and Zelda on Xbox. It was supposed to be a meeting for that. So Nintendo was willing to hear the pitch. But when Microsoft got there, they were just like, yeah, we're making an offer on the company. He's like, yeah. And Nintendo laughed them out the room because Nintendo, I guess, the culture in Japan is different. Where like they're just not gonna sell to you outright like that. And then Nintendo thought they was coming into a meeting to, trying to hear a pitch from Microsoft to get Mario and Zelda, like some of their IPs over on Xbox, kind of like a limited time deal, just like have a game over on Xbox. And they offered on the company like, hell, what's a number that y'all want? Because we want to buy Nintendo. And Nintendo just laughed at them because like their culture is like, we've built this and we want to keep it. And that's why they laughed them out the room. And Microsoft, and it was considered an insult. It was considered an insult. And Nintendo was like, we were insulted, like that y'all would just come in here and just make an offer on the company. Number one, that's not what the meeting was about. Number two, that's not our culture. Our culture, we don't just do that. So they looked at Microsoft as some, pompous Americans that just came over there to try to buy them up. And that's
what's ruined all kinds of media production, video game, TV shows. Is one company just sold to another one and went, okay, we don't give a shit anymore. So I'm actually cheers to Nintendo for that. Because although I think Microsoft is going to do good with it. Now here's why. Because Microsoft has a history of making a mistake and then turning it over. Well, ZeniMax / Bethesda and Activision / Blizzard have already made the mistakes. Now Microsoft can come in from outside the box and turn it over, even though they own the box. But the one, I got asked this by a number of friends. What do I think that they're going to do about the sexual misconduct allegations now that they're under the Microsoft family? I think Microsoft, so it's actually already been addressed reasonably. The existing CEO, I don't care what his name is, it's irrelevant. Please don't say it in chat. Fuck him. He's a piece of shit.
I was about to say,
don't say his name. No. If y'all want to know his name, you look it up. Do not say it in my chat. I will time you out. Don't test me. I don't want him getting that publicity.
Bam Hammer. Go ahead.
The Ban Hammer and the Ban Axe will hit you top and bottom. He will stay on board to continue operating the company administratively during the process, and then once the purchase is complete, his ass is out. As it stands now, another intermediate CEO has not been selected. That company will just simply, the CEO seat will just forward directly to Microsoft Games. Because that way they can get in and micromanage it. Because the problem is, and I've had experiences in the military, so is danger, where micromanagement has caused a problem. But in this case,
they need to be because the CEO and all his douchebag underlings created a bubble that nobody could get in to attack them, to shut them down. So that CEO is being unplugged and replaced afterwards. Or not replaced, because that way there's no CEO where they can build it up. Microsoft can get in there and pull the strings directly, which is the right thing to do in this scenario, and shut that shit down. And what's so crazy? His severance package is just ridiculously big.
Yeah.
But his severance package is big. Like, people was like, how is he getting that much money for a severance package? I was like, they put that in his contract, I guess, before he took the job, because it was highly unlikely to happen. So basically, what happened was, if he was fired from Blizzard, he was still going to get a lot of money. Like, he's going to get like 10, 15 million, maybe 20 million if he was fired. If he retired, he was going to get like, 20, maybe 15, 20 million, something like that. It was like, he was only going to get like a certain amount of money, like, but it was still a lot, like 15, 20 million, 10 million if he was fired, something like that, right? And then it was like, a specific amount of things had to happen for him to get 250 million severance patches. So number one, it had to be, we get bought out, and then upon the merger or the buyout, you're let go. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm like, wait, he was only going to get that if these amount of things happen. You got to remember, Blizzard is a $1 billion company, so it was highly unlikely somebody else was going to buy them out unless they went through a serious economic downturn, or somebody was just had way deeper pockets than they did, which of course we know is Microsoft. But it was just like
part of that.
Hmm?
I only knew part of that, and I got a thought about that. So, T-Mobile went through a series of mergers. Please, y'all, I'm staying on topic. I'm just using this as an example. And when T-Mobile went through a merger, their CEO who stepped out set some parameter up where if the merger didn't happen, this was back when they were considering a merger with AT&T. If the merger didn't happen, but all this other time and investment was tied up, T-Mobile was going to get this boatload of resources from AT&T, and they got it, and that's how you saw T-Mobile blow up from being barely better than Sprint to actually rivaling AT&T and Verizon. Same kind of thing. It was the CEO set it in motion on his way out, and I would be willing to bet he knew that term in his contract, and he went, okay, I'm going to hang around just long enough to not get disciplinary until this merger happens, and we get bought, and I get let go, and that way I can get my money despite the shitbaggery I got into. That's more than likely. I didn't know that. That's probably the chess piece he played.
So he could have actually gotten more. That's the whole thing. If he was terminated, I mean, this never really happens. If he was terminated without cause, he would have got $290 million.
That's ridiculous.
It says termination by Activision Blizzard. Because the thing I'm reading right now says termination by Activision Blizzard without cause or termination by employee for good reason following change of control. Basically, they want to fire you to put somebody else in. He would have got $290 million. Like, look, check this out. You doing all right? You doing all right over here, RandomArizonaDude? But like, we feel like there's somebody that could do this better and bring us to the next level. So we're gonna let you go. We're gonna bring other dude in, and we just And according to your contract, if we do that, we got to pay you $290 million. Whatever, but like I said, he had to get. But like I said, what I told you before, and then again, this is following a change of control. So that also means they had to get bought out first. They had to get bought out, and then he had to get fired. So basically, if Microsoft would have bought them and then fired him, they would have to pay him $290 million. But since that happened, and they had reason to fire him because of all the toxic stuff going on, they still had to pay him $50 million. What really triggered the $250 million thing was is the change of control to Microsoft. Microsoft buying them out. That's really what triggered it.
He knew what he was doing, but you know what? Like, and here's the thing, folks. It's not significant to this. It's not specific to this kind of scenario. When I got out of the army, there were three generals and a colonel, all within a year on the base I was at, who all got in trouble for this exact same thing. Sexual allegations, or sexual misconduct, heavy sexual misconduct. And they just got slapped on the wrist and honorably discharged and got to keep all their, they were all at retirement age. So they got away with what they did, got let go honorably, and kept all their retirement benefits. So just so y'all know, this is not remotely unique to this.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. There was my mentor. His mentor was a sergeant major in the army and attached to a 3-star general, and his wife was cheating on him, and she caught him, and he caught her in the act, and beat dude up and beat her up. So I guess somehow she got away and ran to the general that he's attached to, ran to his house and told him everything that happened. So they just let him, but they just quietly let him retire. He had did 35 years in the army, but they just and he was like, yeah, and he was telling me, I'm going for 40 years. Nope.
Not anymore, you ain't.
Quietly had to let him go. I was like, man.
With this merger, I have been asked, a lot of people are like, hey, I bet this would interest you. Hey, how do you think this is going to impact the future of crossplay, the future of exclusivity? So the existing intellectual properties as it stands now are not going to become exclusives anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But Sony will have to pay to have them licensed on their consoles. But that's just how the game works. You pay the developer pays you. Goes back and forth. If this does negatively impact crossplay, though, Sony had that coming.
Oh,
Uh,
karma.
this has gone back. This has gone back and forth. So before anyone in chat tries to grace me with the history lesson, save it. I already know.
We should go through it. We should go through it though.
Microsoft at first was the ones who crossed their arms and puckered up and went no, and Sony went yeah, we're all for it, and then Microsoft was like, wait a minute, the Xbox runs on Windows protocols. Every generation of the Xbox is run on twisted or barely modified versions of Windows protocols. So crossplay within the Microsoft realm was very, very easy. So Microsoft went, wait a minute, this isn't going to be difficult. Never mind, we'll do it. And then Sony went, never mind, we don't want to do it anymore. For no good goddamn reason. So Sony folded their arms, and now Sony is overtly being indignant about crossplay. And this is going to pinch them even fucking harder. Because they didn't want to play ball in the first place.
I believe that too, because what happened was, I think I told people, like, in the Xbox 360 PS3 era, that's really when Xbox was winning. It was like kind of like the console that everybody was like, yo, you gotta get this console, was the Xbox 360. A lot of people was playing more on the 360 than the PS3. Now what was happening was Sony wanted to do crossplay then, and Xbox was like, we don't need to, because we're in the lead. Our console's in the lead. Everybody's trying to get an Xbox 360. Like, why should we do that? So fast forward to PS4, Xbox One console generation. Now more folks are buying a PS4. PS4 took the lead as far as console sales. Everybody pretty much was going to PS4 because Xbox One wasn't innovating, and they didn't have any. Sony was just killing them with exclusive games and all that stuff. So they were like, so now Xbox is like, yo, let's do crossplay. Let's work together. And Sony's kind of like, nah, fuck that. Like, we're in the lead. We're good. And
not for long.
And now it's continuing on. And the PS4 is near the end of its life cycle, and the fans are like, yo, like, let's get this crossplay on console at least. Like, let's get this going, crossplay and cross save, especially for games that are like on all consoles. Games like Fallout 76, games like Overwatch, But I mean, Call of Duty's on everything, but it's crossplay now. But there's like games that are on every system or on every platform, and then they aren't crossplay, and they aren't crossplay at all. And I'm like, bruh, like, why is that a thing? Why is that a thing where it's not crossplay? If it's on everything, like one of my favorite games, Warframe, is on everything and it's not crossplay. And it's really because Sony, a lot of times it's like, yo, Sony doesn't want to play ball. And now with Xbox owning all these studios, and they own some major games now that they bought Activision Blizzard, it's going to come to bite them. It's going to come to bite them now.
And I'm going to say this. So now here's the thing. I am not a fan of how they're doing. I'm going to swing back at Xbox because they've done something. Granted, some of this is also the developers not having foresight. But there's a trend I'm seeing where something is Xbox PC crossplay, but only if you got it in the Microsoft store on PC. So like Alien Fireteam Elite, I can't play that with a couple of my friends because they got it in Game Pass. And I have it on Steam. Another one that I started playing recently, Generation Zero. Same scenario. It's only crossplay if you have the Microsoft Store version talking to your Xbox friend. But then there's games like Sea of Thieves, which is fully crossplay, Xbox, PC, Microsoft, PC, Steam, because the client itself, even if you launch it through Steam, simply tunnels into the Microsoft Store anyway, which was a smart way to do it. But
I think Microsoft owns that game.
Correct, because Microsoft owns Rare.
Yeah.
Which was another property they acquired. So, like, that is why I'm like, okay, developers and Xbox, y'all need to start talking. But now I'm going to tell y'all something. This is my other thing with Sony. Sony tries too hard to corner the market with gimmicks. And Xbox is a little guilty of that with this. Okay, these are crossplay, but only if you get the Microsoft Store version. That part I don't like. That's what I call a Sony or Apple level gimmick. Now, when I say a Sony level gimmick, and I'm going to tell y'all right now, I have decades of beef with Sony dating back to when EB Games was still a company before they were even
Justice for EB Games.
I have long-running hatred for being treated like garbage by Sony. So, I have a bit of a vested, I'll be very honest, I have a bit of a vested bias in watching Sony.
RandomArizonaDude has dealt with Sony directly, and he has not had a really good reaction. He has not had good, what's the word I'm looking for? He has not had good interactions with Sony.
You're right. Now, that being said, I did buy a new game controller for my gamepad work. I did get the Sony controller because it's branched off of the classic Super Nintendo architecture, which is just what my yes, sir. Which is just what my hands are used to.
But I have a PS5 though.
You're saying Sony is in the no? This is a PS5 controller.
I have a PS5. See, he just got a PS5 controller. I have a PS5
for my computer. Yes. That what he said.
The only game I care about is Elder Scrolls. Fire Oni's here. The only game I care about is Elder Scrolls.
Yo, but the thing with that is, like I said, I have decades of beef just being treated like shit by Sony, watching Sony treat customers like shit. So I have a bit of an interest in this. But Sony, even more than other previous companies, has always tried to make proprietary cables, proprietary memory cards, proprietary hard drives, proprietary cameras to just corner the market further and further. And even Apple didn't go that fucking far. But what was really dumb about it was at least we knew Apple, because Apple uses iOS and Lightning cable, and that we understood Apple was proprietary because that's how they've always been. Sony was like, okay, we're gonna do a random market thing. No, we're not. Never mind. Yeah. Like, for example, the Sony. What were the Android phones that Sony released called the Xevia phone? I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
So
they still release Android phones.
Yeah. So here's what's dumb. They release a phone that's based on an not open source. That's Xperia. Thank you. That's they release a phone that uses an operating system that's widely used, but then they try to release proprietary memory cards for it. Like Sony, that was no. Okay, two companies and only two companies have ever cornered gimmicks properly. Two. And I have beef with one because they always do it in a stupid way. But one is Apple, two is Nintendo. Anybody else who tries to do it does it wrong. Period. Even Samsung, who has some of the top solid-state memory on the market, still puts it in regular conventional hard drives you can put in any computer, any hard drive case, puts it on thumb drives and on fucking memory cards that you can put into any device that accepts general memory. But Sony's like, no, we're gonna make this shit and we're gonna give it the dumbest possible shape ever, and it's only gonna work in our shit. And I'm like, Sony, the perfect example of Sony right now is too big to fail. They have all this money, so they can afford to make really dumb, shitty, gimmicky mistakes. And then Microsoft's like, you know what? We're just gonna keep tumbling into crossplay. We're gonna keep letting people use Windows on computers that's compatible with thousands and thousands of devices. And all these other companies that are trying to corner the market by inserting shitty proprietary stuff and pointlessly form over function unique ideas, like Sony. The only thing holding Sony up at money at this point is like money and market diversification. But they just keep doing dumb shit.
Sony was always trying to win a format war, which is hard to do. But I understand, because when you win a format war, when you win a format war, I think I explained this to you like on
Blu-ray.
Before.
Blu-ray was their one hit recently.
Yeah. But they tried to do the proprietary memory cards, it's the memory stick duo for the cameras, which I think are still used, but like people have done other things to them. Like basically, what people have done was like the mini SD card. The mini SD card, they've made an adapter for the duo card, and then you can put the mini SD in there now. Like so even when it looked like, oh yeah, I won this format more with the cameras with DSLR camera, people just made an adapter and that was it. So they've tried to do with the memory cards. They tried to have the mini display. The mini display was probably gonna work if the iPod didn't happen.
Close. Yeah,
like the mini display would have popped off if the iPod didn't happen. iPod happened and killed the mini display, because the mini display was really good actually.
Yes.
I never understood the UMDs where they was trying to like when they were trying to do that with the PSP, they was trying to make the UMD movie things. Like I never understood why they did that. And then finally they hit with Blu-ray.
Yeah, but Blu-ray is so widespread now that like some people don't even realize it's a Sony piece. Yeah. They just think of it as basically like DVD 5.0 is all they think of.
Yes.
But I mean, it's cool. Go Sony for that. But how do I put this? Sony keeps making these dumb mistakes, trying too hard. Now, here's the other thing, folks. I'm gonna point this out. Somebody mentioned this. Somebody said, "What if Microsoft becomes a monopoly?"
They've been in court for for the last 40 years over that, I believe.
Well, but I'm gonna point out that the people who asked that question are missing information. Sony has been actively trying to force a monopoly by making proprietary shit that only works one way. Mm-hmm. That's the whole purpose of making something that only works one way. You force people to buy one thing and buy all the other shit that only works with it. That's what you do. So here's the difference. Y'all are just asking that question because Microsoft is better at it. Because Microsoft is buying these household names in development that have made mistakes recently but are still continuing. Microsoft just made smarter business and exclusivity decisions recently than Sony. Sony has just tried to corner with gimmicks. Microsoft bought businesses that can be recovered and kept forward. To answer that question. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this is a little silly Eternal Lone Wanderer, formerly Eternal Lone Wanderer, going into Random Arizona Dude reference. So, Bethesda ZeniMax is a Microsoft property. Sea of Thieves is a Microsoft property. And Sea of Thieves has stuff from multiple properties that Microsoft has either had a deal with or owns. And they are cosmetics that you can buy in Sea of Thieves. I'm gonna tell you all right now, if there's a Nuka-Cola or a Vault-Tec ship set skin for Sea of Thieves, you bet your goddamn sweet asses I'm buying that shit for my ship. You bet. I will have a USS motherfucking Vault-Tec all over the goddamn Sea of Thieves Caribbean, rocking and rolling. Y'all don't even know.
I still have to play that. So I had some other folks actually asked me to play that with them, and I was like, I cannot play with you without playing with Random Arizona Dude first. I haven't played with him yet.
I'll teach you when we get. I'll tell you what. Saturday mornings, my current crew is on hiatus, so if you want a training for it on Saturday morning, you let me know.
This Saturday is bad because that's when my test is. Remember, I've been studying like a madman for this test.
Yes, I get. Yeah, that's good though.
So like today,
that's career investments. That's fine.
So today I learned how the backside of HBO Max and Twitch works because they both run on Amazon Web Services, which is the test that I'm taking. I was sent a video on how everything works in the background. I'm not gonna go through it because I'm gonna start saying it and you're gonna be like, what the hell is he talking about?
It's a lot of shit.
But it's like, wow, I know how this works now. So it's like,
no, I feel that because I've been doing these certifications for the state of Arizona, basically lab work. Because I do data analytics and materials lab work now, and you would be real fucking surprised how much processing science goes into the gravel and the asphalt and the concrete that you walk and drive on. Holy horseradish and horse shit. Just so. Whew. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
You getting closer and closer to Fallout in real life.
No. Let's see. No, let's see. Hold on. So LB's got a point. So Sony. In my chat, he said he's making a point. Sony owned the 80s and 90s with the Walkman, and then the evolution of the product out, the Discman. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The Walkman was battery efficient. The Discman was not because the servos and the laser and the data processing were a battery whore until better batteries came out.
Kill batteries, yo.
That's why Sony struggled going forward with like the mini disc and shit, because they stuck to that mechanical media, and that's not efficient with a mobile battery source. But when one of the first big MP3 players came out, the Zune, the Diamond Rio, a couple others, then Sony got on board with that. But someone beat Sony to it. Now, here's the thing, folks. You have your moment in the sun, and then you don't. And sometimes you can get your moment in the sun back. That depends. But if you're getting your moment in the sun just to get another moment in the sun, you're gonna get sunburned. I'm just telling you. Look at these celebrities who do gimmicky shit to try and stay relevant. Everyone's like, you're old, you've got millions of billions of dollars, just go away and fucking retire. You don't need to be relevant anymore. Like, just keep doing what you do, we'll watch your old movies. Sony makes great TVs. Sony makes amazing cameras. They make pretty good home computer systems, etc., etc., etc. They need to stop trying to be the next Nintendo and the next Apple. They need to stop trying to be the next 80s and 90s Sony because they're trying too hard. It's, how does one say this? See, people say slow and steady wins the race. That's a load of shit because you don't win no race going slow. But slow and steady will always get you to your destination. So Sony, take your time. Something I learned in the army. Slow is smooth, smooth becomes fast. Chill out. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel because all these other companies that are leaving you in the dirt have the wheel on their car that you're trying to reinvent and they're still going past you. So knock it off, Sony.
Sony is trying too hard. That's the point. Too
hard. That's always the problem. Yo. So I want to touch on one though. So someone asked me how the sexual misconduct allegations are going to get handled. Very short version. As soon as that CEO is out of place and Blizzard and Activision are an actual locked property of Microsoft, they're going to fire those motherfuckers.
Everybody's going, yo. Everybody's going.
Microsoft has enough people that they can get into the existing code for the games, decompile it, reverse engineer it, and then have new developers pick it up. It's not like, say, Blizzard, where if 5 developers leave, those fucking developers are gone and there's no one to take over. Microsoft's gonna be like, look, we might not be perfect, but we got teams that can handle your shit. You fucking rapists and molesters, you can fucking go. We don't need you here. And Microsoft has made some mistakes, but it's actually not a toxic company to be within. Which we have already had it proven to us that Blizzard is fucking terrible to work for. Which is why we're here.
It's funny too, because I remember somebody telling me to try to work for Blizzard when I left the military. It was like, oh yeah, Blizzard is like a really good job working for Blizzard. I was like, man, come to find out, it's a toxic work environment, especially if you're a woman. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, like Fallout 76 has had their positive spikes in the last year-ish since Microsoft bought them. Their services have become more stable. They've had better publicity and responses. They finally, I don't know if they finally heard me and others bitching about it, but like the seasonal stuff that's been in Fallout 76 was always like micro lore in the game for like the cosmetics, handfuls of useful items, etc. And this season coming up, they're finally returning to their roots, and the new season is fucking Vault Tech, which is great because Fallout 76 has ignored Vault Tech, Nuka-Cola, etc., other cosmetics, other things that are in their roots. So Microsoft was like, hey assholes, why don't you go back to basics? And Bethesda's like, oh yeah, I guess that's a good fucking idea. We'll see, folks. I'm not concerned with the buyout. Again, folks are just, what if they become a monopoly? They've just been better at making business decisions. Sony has been trying to be a monopoly for years.
Yes.
They just failed at it. Over and over again.
I mean, Sony has acquired companies too, but it's just like, the companies that Microsoft are acquiring are like it's a name that we know. It's like, yeah, Sony acquired Bluefish Studios. You're like, what the hell is that? And then you have to look them up. Oh, they made this game. Okay, yeah, that was actually a good game. Yeah. But it's just like, you hear Microsoft acquires Bethesda. Oh shit, Fallout, fucking Elder Scrolls, all this. Like, wait, you knew immediately the games. Oh,
so that's what Microsoft is doing smart. They're watching these big boys, and this is what happens, folks. When big old power gets comfortable, it fucks up. That's what happened at Blizzard Activision. That's what happened at Bethesda. And again, you're coming from a guy who's a Fallout whore. And even I'm like,
the nondescript Fallout geek over here.
Even I'm like, they fucked it up. So what Microsoft did was they went, that household name fucked up. Buy them. And that was the smart maneuver. And Holly just said, Microsoft has the money to blow through. Sony got money. Microsoft got all the money. But it's just been, honestly, it's business decisions. That's all it is business decisions. Sony has made dumber business decisions in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I seen that, and I was like, because I was sitting there, I think I saw a chart one day where it was like they were showing like everything that Sony that like Sony had owned and stuff. And it was like a good 30, 40. It was like a good 30 companies that they had owned, but it was all like stuff that it was a small studio, but you knew and you were like, yo, like what studio is that? But then you've heard of a game that they made. You're like, oh yeah, that was a good game. Like, oh yeah, that was a good game too. So you're like, okay, Sony got some people that make good games, but you like never really heard of studios. You've heard of Activision Blizzard because you've heard of games like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft. You've heard of those games, so you're just like, oh yeah. So what Microsoft is getting is the whales, is what I say. They're getting the whales. Sony's getting studios where like there's small studios and you may have heard of a game or two that they've made, but you didn't know what studio made it. You're like, yeah, like, oh yeah, I forgot they made that game. They made that game. That was a good game. Like I think they had
because what Sony does is they buy that little studio for titles like, I think Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, that's a small studio.
Yes, and then
they're making the new Star Wars Eclipse game.
Yep,
so everybody's looking forward to that.
Dawn. So, and then Horizon Zero Dawn.
Guerrilla Games. It was Guerrilla Games that made Horizon Zero Dawn. They also made the Killzone games back in the day.
Correct. So what I'm saying though is Sony takes this, and this is another psychology problem that Microsoft. This is a mistake Microsoft does not make. Sony takes these games, and when you start them up, you see this monstrous white and gold banner with a booming sound effect that rivals TH fucking X. Sony Computer Entertainment. And then like a regular subdued screen or a little footnote that says so-and-so studios. Because Sony's like, I'm putting my shit on this. Microsoft will say Xbox Game Studios, but then there will be just as loud and just as presented Rare, LTD for Sea of Thieves, etc.
They're not taking center. They're not taking center stage and letting the studio take center stage.
Correct. That's one more Sony psychology issue. But my beef, like I said, my decades of beef with Sony, that's more stories that we got time for on this particular cast. It'll go outside the subject matter a little bit. I don't think exclusivity is going to be a problem. The existing intellectual properties like Elder Scrolls and Fallout, etc., that are on all platforms, they've already said, hey, these are going to stay on all platforms. Yeah. It's just that Microsoft is going to be collecting their cut of the licensing fee now, which is really going to fucking piss Sony off.
Yeah, because Sony's going to have to pay them for it. Because
I'm fine with that.
Because Xbox is paying Sony for the only baseball game there is. This MLB The Show, which is a really good baseball game if you're a baseball fan. And they have, and for it to be on Xbox and PC, they have to pay Sony because Sony Studios is the one that makes the game. Because the same folks that make NBA 2K, they were making a baseball game, but they decided to cut their baseball game now. They cut it like a few years ago. So yeah, that's gonna be. So I'm wondering so what I think was gonna happen with all the stuff and it's starting to happen already, is any single player Epic game is gonna be exclusive, and the multiplayer games they're gonna license. So like some of the Call of Duties. Overwatch, stuff like that. So, they're gonna license that out to everybody.
Like the single player not the Elder Scrolls and Fallout because that's already been stated. But like Starfield, I don't know if Starfield's platform.
Starfield's gonna be an exclusive to Xbox and PC.
Cool, I'm good with that.
So everybody, but I think they're gonna do that with But like as far as some of these IPs in the future, like anything that comes out with Activision Blizzard. Or even Bethesda and all the studios that they have under them, like if it's a single player or like adventure game, something like that, it's like a solo game, it's gonna be only on Xbox. You got to get an Xbox or PC to play them all. Like they're not gonna license them out because for the longest, the running joke for I think the last 8-9 years, Xbox don't got no games and they about to turn all that around.
Yeah, they had a few exclusives that stuck, but like Sony. But here's the funny thing: Sony is getting smart and finally selling the games to PC. Like Horizon Zero Dawn was fucking awesome on PC.
God of War right now, everybody's loving it.
Yeah, I haven't played Detroit or God of War yet. I have Detroit, I just haven't played it yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Although I am irritated with one particular mistake. We're gonna go a little off topic here. So y'all seen my twin brother Danger here. We're gonna ride that for publicity, bro. I'm just gonna be upfront about that shit right now. We gonna do it. There's whole jokes about that. In fact, those of y'all who are in the metropolitan Phoenix area, you come to my 40th birthday party. That's gonna cut.
Man,
by the way, there's a
hilarious.
scene in Red Dead Redemption 2 where him and Lenny, one of the only like black dudes in the gang, him and Lenny go into this saloon, which pretty much looks like Big Nose Kate's and Tombstone, and they get hammered out of their gourd. I got a cut scene in it, a highlight. I'm like, this is gonna be me in danger when he comes down for our 40th birthday. It's gonna be a thing. But Final Fantasy VII, the remake. I was actually dying to buy that. I wanted it. And they were like, yeah, it's coming to PC. And I've been waiting. And I'm watching other friends play it on PC. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Found out it's on the Epic Store. And I don't want my debit card information to get stolen 2 weeks after I put it on the Epic Store. So I'm not getting it. Yes. So
he refuses to buy anything on Epic Games Store.
I understand, like, occasionally a data breach happens. I used to work for a bank. I get that it happens. Okay, it's happened to Target once. It's happened to Discover. It's happened to T-Mobile. Once or twice each in the lifespans of the fucking companies. It happened to Epic 3 times in a couple of years. Fuck no. They're not getting my debit card. It's not happening. Not worth it.
I didn't even know that all this was going on until you said something to me. I was like, well, shit. I already got a bunch of games on over there.
Yeah, and I'm not buying a fucking temporary. Someone's like, we'll get a temporary gift debit card. No, I'm not giving them the crap. I'm not even letting them try. Fuck it. So
that's what I was about to say. Like, why don't you do a gift card? Get a gift card. I would do that. That's probably what I should have did.
That's more like pity. It's like taking pity. That, and I already have too many launchers. Okay, I got way too many launchers.
Oh, yeah.
I got
being a
Steam.
PC gamer, you got Steam, Epic Game Store, GOG.
Yeah. I'm not. I got enough fucking launchers, bro.
Microsoft tried that timed exclusivity thing with Rise of Tomb Raider. It failed hard. Timed exclusivity hurts Microsoft every time. I think with that, Tomb Raider wasn't like a game. Like, Tomb Raider is a classic game, but the Tomb Raider name doesn't hold the weight that it used to. I think that's what all that was with that game. It doesn't hold that weight anymore. Like, people are like, oh yeah, Tomb Raider, yeah, that was a good game. But it's not like, oh snap, Tomb Raider coming out? Oh, yeah, I'm waiting for that one. I ain't hearing nobody say that. People was like, oh yeah, Tomb Raider, yeah, I'll play that. It's kind of like that. It wasn't like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh snap, I can't wait for that to come out. No, nobody did that with Tomb Raider. I think that's where really.
I get Epic. Anyway, so folks, Bethesda and Microsoft, Blizzard and Activision and Microsoft. I hate to say it. No, I would say I hate to say it in such a condescending manner, but y'all know I don't give a good goddamn if I come across as condescending or not. Mm-hmm. People need to calm down. Oh, what if I can't play Fallout on PlayStation? It's already been addressed. What if it becomes an exclusive? Well, that's part of the market. If you're gonna bitch about Bethesda making exclusives for Microsoft only, you can bitch about God of War and other exclusives equally. Okay, it's a business decision. It doesn't revolve around your convenience. It's companies choosing on how they're gonna corner their titles. That's just that. So if you're gonna get mad at Xbox and Microsoft for holding exclusives from these studios that they bought, you then are required by the same logic, unless you would like to proudly wear the selfish crown of hypocrite, to yell at Sony for only developing shit for the PlayStation. That's you not realizing that the scales are supposed to balance. That's just that. You know what?
That's what always happens, because it's kind of like, if the same games come out on each system, it's just like, you don't really have an incentive to buy them. So like, so that's what they do. So they're like, okay, we're gonna make these games only available on our system, so that people will buy our system. And Xbox does the same thing. You can only get Halo on an Xbox or a PC. You can't get Halo. You can't play Halo on PS5. So it's like they always have applications. You can't play Mario on Xbox, Star Fox on Xbox, Kirby on PlayStation.
Let's add that to the mix. So if you're gonna attack Microsoft for buying exclusives, there's this whole company called Nintendo. Y'all need to go have a talk with them too, if you're gonna use that argument.
Have you played Pokemon on anything other than a Nintendo system?
Other than Go.
Well, not emulated. Not
Yes.
emulated.
Not correct. Legally. Have you played them legally?
Have you played them legally on it? Because Halo, Nintendo, man, I tell you. Because here's the thing I never knew until like maybe last year. I never knew that Nintendo owns Pokemon. I never knew this. Like I knew that. I thought
they bought it a long time ago.
I thought they had a good relationship and that, you know, they have an exclusivity deal, but essentially they were like two different companies. No, Nintendo owns Pokemon, and they make $1 billion. They make $1 billion a year off Pokemon. Just off Pokemon alone. Like remember, Nintendo has other stuff like Super Mario is synonymous with gaming. Period. So like. Yep. Most people, when they think of gaming, one of the first things they'll think about is Super Mario, and then probably something else. But like, it's synonymous with gaming, so they make money off the Mario name too. All rounds. They make $14 billion a year. Yeah, fine. Only since they bought after Gold and Silver came out. I didn't know that they owned it. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
He's absolutely right. They bought what's the Pocket Monsters company or something? Game Freak. Yes.
It's actually the Pokemon company, and then Game Freak is under that. So
yes, Game Freak is the software developer, because the Pokemon company then has the subsidiaries that make like the cards, the hats, the clothes, the plushies, all that shit. So that's just what I'm saying, y'all. Like, if you're gonna have the talk about, oh, Microsoft is gonna whore exclusives. Oh well. I'd say I'm sorry, not sorry.
I'm like, shoot, nobody bats an eye at Nintendo, because you know they got all them IPs they got. With Pokemon, Mario, Star Fox, Donkey Kong,
well, that's
Kirby.
Because that's what it is. It's the same reactions where people have exploded over little shit when any software has been released for the last 10 years. They just get on the internet and they're just like, I'm not getting exactly what I want. I'm gonna argue with strangers about this video game shit. Like, people say it's politics. It's not politics. Politics were just exemplified during a block of time when something was going on. When people have something taken away, or when something's gonna be adjusted and they don't like it, even if they're okay with other people doing it because it fits them, they're gonna get on the internet and they're gonna turn into Yelpers and Karens, and they're just gonna rant and lose it.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting precisely what they want on their whim, and that's their whole psychology.
Oh, so Lupin Bebop in the chat, he says Nintendo has been known for being tight with their IP. Sony has not been. Yo, so here's two things I want to say about that. So, number one, you know, Crash Bandicoot is now owned by Microsoft. And that used to be Sony's mascot, because you know, back in the early 90s, you know, it was like Sony had Crash Bandicoot, Nintendo had Mario, Sega had Sonic, and then to a lesser degree, Xbox had, I guess, Master Chief. You know what I'm saying? For Halo. So like everybody had like a little mascot. Now Microsoft owns Sony's old mascot, which is crazy. I was like, I'm just because they bought one of the companies that made Crash Bandicoot, so now they own Crash Bandicoot. The second thing is Nintendo has licensed out their IPs before to a different console, and it did not work out well. Have you ever seen them 3D? Have you ever seen the games that they made on 3DO?
Yeah, the Panasonic 3DO back in the day.
For Zelda and Mario, them games were bad. They were bad, and that's the last time. That was the only time Nintendo loaned out their stuff, because Nintendo was like, oh yeah, we could have a good relationship, 3DO, and they thought the technology was good. The technology was good, but nobody knew what the hell they were doing, and they just made bad games. So anytime Nintendo has loaned out, because Nintendo has loaned out their stuff before. They've loaned out their stuff after that, but it's like, yo, it stays here. It's kind of like, oh yeah, you can play my Game Boy. You can play my Game Boy. You gotta stay in my house though. You can't leave the house. You can't leave the house, cause the first game that I could really remember that Nintendo licensed out, but it was still on Nintendo, was on the Super Nintendo. They licensed out Super Mario. I can't remember that one. Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG was not made by Nintendo. It was made by Square. The same folks that make Final Fantasy. They made but what happened? It stayed on the Super Nintendo. Like, it didn't go nowhere else. So, like, it stayed on. That's what they've done. So even more recently, the Mario and Rabbids stuff, that was Ubisoft that made that. But where did that game stay? On the Switch. Like, Nintendo has loaned out their stuff in most recent memory. They have done that in the past, but what they've done is it doesn't leave their console. It does not.
Which I get, because you're only going to admit so many failures. It's just, okay. I think of it like relationships. You're only going to put up with the same red flag once or twice, unless you're stupid. And some of us in this world are stupid in that particular regard. I'm not saying me. I'm not saying not me. But Nintendo learned that people might get so hyped up over a brand that they're going to stumble during the development. And that happens. People get hyped up. They sprint when they should be jogging because they're like, look at what I got. And then they eat shit. And Nintendo went, we're not doing that anymore. So we'll let other people come in to play, but you're going to play in our living room.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I get that. But that's that whole exclusivity argument. People want to say, well, Microsoft's cornering exclusives. Folks,
nope.
I got bad news for you. Your argument's invalid.
I was like, you know how many... I was like, but everybody does it in the gaming space.
Again,
like, even with
because people don't want to see their game become an exclusive somewhere else, but they don't care if the exclusive they like isn't available to someone else because it doesn't hurt them. That's that internet reaction.
You didn't see Sonic on another system until Sega killed their hardware division. Before Sega killed their hardware division, you did not see Sonic nowhere else besides a Sega system, a Sega Game Gear, a Sega Genesis, a 32X, a Sega CD, a Sega Saturn, or Sega Dreamcast, one of my favorite systems of all time. Like, you didn't see Sonic outside of any of those systems until finally they was like, yo, we're killing our hardware, we're just going to software company. Then you started seeing that stuff on Nintendo and Xbox. You start seeing it everywhere now. But before that, no, it was exclusive to a Sega hardware system.
So, folks, I hate to say it, your argument about who's going exclusive with what, it's off the board.
Yeah.
Go ahead and write about it on social media, but it's not valid.
It's the way it's just the way it's always been done, folks. It's
business.
You gotta think, what incentive if this game is on everything, what incentive do you have to having it on one system versus another?
Exactly.
Like that's really what it is. Like, okay, I want to play Super Mario. Well, I got a PlayStation already. I'll just play it on that. Oh wait, I can't. I gotta buy a Switch if I want to play it. Kind of like, if I want to play, until this only happened within the last year. If I wanted to play God of War, it had to be on Sony. That's only been it only just came out on a PC. The last 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago. So
something like that, yeah.
Before 2 weeks ago, you cannot play God of War anywhere else but a Sony system. So it's like,
but a PlayStation.
You had to buy a PlayStation to do that. So it was it's just an incentive to buy the system. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to.
Yeah, like, so I don't have any concerns about this buyout. It doesn't hurt my feelings in the slightest, and I don't even own an Xbox, and I'm probably not gonna own an Xbox.
You
but
own
it doesn't.
The best Xbox is a gaming PC with a controller, which you have.
Yes, sir.
Which is why I was like,
I found out this cool thing. If I hit this little PlayStation button, since this is not a PlayStation, it brings up the Steam big screen, and I can go sit my fucking thick ass right here on the couch, turn on the TV because I'm piped over to my 4K TV, and I can sit over there and play video games on my couch like an old school console because I got Sega Genesis, I got the Contra collection, all that, and modern platformers. Yeah. And I can play them on my TV like the old days.
Nintendo learned that branding works and is powerful. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
10 star. Thick with 2 C's. Son, I got like 5 or 6 C's.
But I don't know if you've
question my quality.
But RandomArizonaDude, I don't know if you've seen. See, I've never owned an Xbox, but that Halo Xbox, there's 2 Xboxes I want to own. There is the Halo Anniversary Edition Xbox. That thing looks dope. I watched a streamer, this gorgeous lady yesterday. She unboxed it on stream, and I was like, "Yo, that's a dope looking console. Like that Xbox Series X, the exclusive Halo Edition console." So there's that one, and then there's another one that you probably can't get nowhere. Is The Rock has his own edition of the Xbox with the Brahma Bull.
Of course he does.
With the Brahma Bull logo on it.
Tell your cousin I want one.
I've been trying to holler at him about that. Like, yo, can I get one? But they're only like they've only been giving those out to children's hospitals.
I'm okay with that though because Extra Life, which by the way, I restarted my campaign for the year, folks. I'm just saying it's all tax deductible. Phoenix Children's Hospital, yada yada yada.
Yes. So they've been on. He's only been giving those out to, and they have a control, and they both have a special controller too. They've been giving those out to. They've been giving the Rock ones out with the Brahma Bull logo on there. With
That's cool though.
To all the to like a bunch of children's hospitals. He went on like a small campaign. He was going around the children's hospitals giving them out. So that one actually looked good. Doing
something exclusive. A, I respect just about everything The Rock does. B, even if I didn't, I'm not gonna talk shit about The Rock. It's just not gonna fucking. I'm not gonna shit on The Rock because he will cram me up into a ball, stuff me in a soup can, and just kick that bitch across the street. So I'm not even gonna fuck with it.
And I've never owned an Xbox. So I was like, man, I would own an Xbox for it. And then of course, they figured out that the Xbox has what you call a developer mode. So basically, in the developer mode, pretty much makes, and people made this joke about it when they first revealed the hardware, that the Xbox looks like a PC. So basically, if you put the Xbox in developer mode, which you have to pay $20 for, but it's $20 one time. $20 one time. Put it in developer mode, and it kind of turns your Xbox into a PC. You can download. They say you can download Microsoft Edge, the new Microsoft Edge on it, or Chrome if you want, and use it as a PC. And what people figured out was like, yo, you can run emulators and stuff on it. So there's videos on YouTube. Y'all can go look and see. There's videos on YouTube of folks running old Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, all types of old games on the Series X, the big one, and the Series S, the small one. There's videos of them doing both on there, and they're like, and it runs buttery smooth.
Yet another thing about Xbox that says they respect their client base at least that much more, because they're like, oh look, okay, $20, we can unlock it. You just got to agree that, hey, this is your responsibility if you fuck it up, which I agree with. But hey, Sony, can I mod my PlayStation? Not without breaking your terms of service. Fuck you. Yeah, one more thing about Sony that I'm give a shit about.
So what I think Xbox goal is, because Xbox is doing this. Xbox is like kind of like, we don't care where you play, but we want everybody on Xbox, Microsoft stuff. So the Game Pass, the cloud gaming with the xCloud, that it works on your PC or on your PC, laptop, tablet, phone. Because I have the whole Razer Kishi that hooks up into my phone. I can play xCloud on it anywhere as long as I have an internet connection, and all that stuff works beautifully. The cloud gaming works really well. FPS games have been the only thing where it's kind of up and down as far as
pew platforms.
The as far as the latency and the lag, it's been up and down. Like some days I'm like, I'll have a good day, and then some days I have a bad day. But any other game that I've played has been worked buttery smooth. And it's funny
You
because
can tell it was a good day.
huh?
You know how you can tell if it was a good day?
What?
Because you didn't need your AK. All right, I'm gonna leave now.
Oh,
Sorry,
man.
I had to be.
You had to be that guy.
That
You had to be that guy. So.
Had to be that guy.
So. Shit made me forget my train of thought. So I remember we're getting a little off topic, but you'll see where I'm going with this.
Honestly,
everybody made fun of Google Stadia because cloud gaming in the cloud that don't make sense. And I was just like, cloud gaming makes sense to me because before I decided to get back into gaming, because I was out of gaming for like a while. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Before I decided to get back into gaming, cloud gaming sounded good to me, and it still sounds like a good idea to me because, especially if you're into PC gaming is an investment. Like, you're gonna spend anywhere from $500 minimum to $1,000 for a good PC. So imagine if there was something around where, like, hey, you just pay a monthly fee and you could plug in a controller or just use your keyboard and mouse that you already have, and you could play any game that you want. You could just play any game you want from anywhere. All you need is internet connection. I was like, that sounds good because you don't really need good hardware for that. All you really need is a good internet connection, which is easier to get than some good hardware. Getting a good internet connection is more accessible, especially if you live in the United States, rather than the setup that you would need for our hardware. So I was like, oh, this is a good idea. This because it's less money on the consumer because you're gonna buy internet you're gonna need internet just because that's just part of daily life here in the United States, in North America. So the fact that cloud gaming was like, I could just, on my current booty laptop that's not really that great, I could play like some really good games in the cloud. So I thought it was always a good idea. Everybody else clowned it because it was like, it's never worked, or in the past it's never worked because there were services like OnLive, and there was and PlayStation Now tried the cloud gaming way before OnLive did. There was PlayStation Now, they started like maybe beginning of PS3 era, and OnLive started a little bit before that, and none of that stuff worked. So when Google said they were doing it, they're like, yo, there's no track record of this working. So of course everybody got on Google Stadia because of their pricing model, because they couldn't figure that out. And then, people were talking about how they had issues and they had problems. Here comes Microsoft doing the same thing with their xCloud and makes it work beautifully. And then, of course, Amazon has their own service called Amazon Luna. They're doing it now. And then GeForce is doing their own thing now. So I'm like, yo, y'all all killed Stadia. But then and then PlayStation Now is still a thing. All of their competition is doing the same thing. Microsoft is just the one that's figured it out. Like,
I'm telling y'all, like,
Microsoft's the one figured it out.
They had some flappy runs with a couple of the recent generations of Xboxes. And now Microsoft is making all these good business decisions. Smart business decisions. And fanboys. I'm not specifically going to say Sony people, but 9 out of 10 of the complaints about Microsoft doing better are just bitchy Sony fans. That's really all they are. Because PC people are like, good, now I can play with my Xbox friends. It's fucking awesome. Which is this guy right here. Because some of y'all have seen my wild Sea of Thieves streams on Saturday mornings. But honestly, anybody who has something negative to say about the Microsoft acquisition of Activision and Blizzard is only thinking about it from their personal gain. From a business decision, the benefit it's going to have for the companies they've acquired, including ZeniMax and Bethesda and all those that are published housed under them, etc., it's actually only a positive. Again, folks are just mad. What if Microsoft becomes a monopoly? Okay, cool. But get mad at all the other companies that have been trying to be monopolies that you just ignored because it didn't apply to you before you bring that argument to the table.
I'm just like, I don't think they are going to become a monopoly because Sony's just not going away and Nintendo's not going away. They're not gonna become a monopoly. Just off the fact that their competition isn't just gonna lay down. Like they're gonna continue to pump out good stuff. Number two, you don't want them to become a monopoly, which I think that's their point. We don't want them to become a monopoly, but because then everything's gonna suck if that happens. But Sony and Nintendo aren't laying down. They're not taking that well.
And Sony has finally started to pop their heads out of their asses by taking their exclusive and making them available on PC, etc. Like that's been happening.
That's definitely going to help them in the long run doing that. Like they have. So what I've been told now is like they have like a whole pipeline for that now. Before, like they didn't have a pipeline for that. It was just like, it was just kind of like. It was always like a timed exclusive. So say for something like, for instance, like Final Fantasy VII Remake was exclusive to PS4, but it was just like a timed exclusive. Like, look, it's gonna be on Sony for like a year or two, and then it's gonna be somewhere else. So I was always telling folks that I was like, oh man, I wish it was coming to PC. I was like, bruh, there's not a single Final Fantasy game that's not available on PC. It's coming to PC. It's just a matter of when. That's why I told folks when it came out 2 years ago, and they were complaining about how it's only going to be on Sony. I'm like, bruh, every Final Fantasy game is on. I looked at Steam last week, and I was like, every Final Fantasy game ever made is on Steam. So I'm like, trust me, it's coming. But I mean, it's on Epic Game Store, but it's on PC. It's on PC. It's like it's never been not available. A Final Fantasy game has never been not available on PC, so it's coming. So stuff like that. But it's like now Sony, for their games that their studios own, they started a pipeline company where like, okay, we have this company that what they're gonna do is anything that we want to go to PC, this company is going to port it over or help with the port over to PC. So they have a whole pipeline for that now, where they didn't have that before. So that's one smart move I feel like Sony made, where like they created that pipeline to go. So like I think it got leaked a few months ago where they were saying like all the stuff from PlayStation Studios is coming to PC, and that's how we found out about God of War coming. So it wasn't even a surprise when they finally announced it, because people was like, yeah, we know about this for months because it got leaked.
Mm-hmm. Danger, I gotta ask a different question.
What's up?
Your background changed. Are you still in the same house?
Yeah.
Okay. I see a completely different wall and everything behind you, and I think
because you're just singing more, I guess. I don't know. Like it's always the same background. It's always been the same background. I've been here in this house since October of last year. So maybe when I have the small picture, you don't see it too much, whatever. But yeah. This is
this one that was like a hallway behind you before, like an apartment hallway with a vent duct, etc. I've never seen like the chair and the paintings in it. Well, I mean, more recently I think I've seen it, and I just haven't said anything. But
the paintings are in front of me. That's a mirror.
I was wondering.
The paintings are in front of me. That's a mirror. So you're seeing what the mirror's reflecting off of this wall, because you see my arm way over here, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, I see the painting too.
The paintings are this way.
I'm talking about the tall rectangular painting that's all the way on the one side of your image by that little above the chair. That's what I mean when I say painting.
Oh, it's talking about this here. That was always there, and then this is just like because dirty clothes is behind this thing.
Oh, I know. This right here that nobody can see is messy shit right now. Oh man. So folks, the merger's happening. If you're gonna complain about it, don't get on the ad that talks about the merger and bitch at Microsoft in a journalistic comment on Facebook, because this is a big problem I see. Is someone will share a picture or an article on Facebook and people will complain, "Hey Microsoft, F you," and it's not Microsoft's post. It's not Microsoft's article. It's not Microsoft's Facebook or Instagram or whatever else. Like, folks, if you have the argument, focus the argument at the source of your problem. I'd love to see a lot of this on the internet, but it's never going to happen.
Never. So, what I'm saying is, yo, Microsoft, Sony, holla at your boys. Especially them folks over there. Especially Sarah Bond that's over there, yo. Sarah Bond that's over there at Xbox, holla at me. No, I'm playing. No,
holla
at me for holla at me for real though. No, Sarah
Dude,
Bond is somebody that she's actually doing really great work over there as far as partnerships and relationships with Xbox.
I'm just saying, if you get any Microsoft exclusives, you need to holler at me. I need, just send a little whisper.
Sarah Bond, holla at me. Sarah Bond is, like I said, Sarah Bond is doing great work over there. I just know she's just an attractive lady, but she is doing a lot of good work over there. I just, when I first seen it, I was like, hey, who's that? And it was like, yo, she's doing this and that and the third for Microsoft. I was like, oh shit, she's doing the damn thing. But yeah, so I've never been a fan really of Microsoft. I've been a Sony fanboy for the longest. I've been on Sony since PS1. I have a PS5 now. So I'm like, I've been a fanboy for the longest.
I wanted to be a smart ass to say that sounds like a you problem.
I've been a fanboy for the longest. But Xbox, man, like what they've been doing this console generation, like with the Xbox Series X and the S and the cloud gaming, all the stuff that they're doing on PC, like it's really been like, yo, you know what? I'm a fan of Xbox right now. I'm really a fan of Xbox.
Yeah.
Like I have a gaming PC and I have Game Pass. I've enjoyed Game Pass a lot.
I'm loving it because I have the Game Pass on PC.
Yes, that's what I have. I have Game Pass on PC.
Yeah, you and me have played a few titles over that, and like we played. What was that top-down shooter you and I gave a round to, and that was
you must mean Activision. Activision, Hellbent Child, welcome to the stream. Activision was shit to begin with, sexist bastards. I hope Microsoft does better with it.
They will. We addressed that earlier. So
we addressed that earlier.
But I'll cliff notes it. So the CEO that was insulating the Blizzard Activision assholes from getting in any real trouble and just tried to destroy and got caught destroying evidence is going to stay in place until the merger is done. Then he's out. And there's not going to be a replaced CEO. That the operation, their chain of command of Blizzard Activision answering to a CEO will connect directly to the Microsoft CEO because now he can get his hands in there. And for better or for worse, Microsoft does have a modern corporate culture of like, they have their business practices, pro-con, we're not going to address that. Mm-hmm. But they have an equal opportunity, no sexual harassment, etc., that any other big, successful corporation has in the public eye. And Microsoft enforces it. Because I got a couple of homies that work for Microsoft, and they've told me as such. Like, it has been whispered around inside the company that Microsoft is going to axe the assholes that did not get in their appropriate trouble.
So, pretty much, one sentence. Everybody that was responsible for all the shit that was going on in Activision, they getting cut.
Banhammer, cancel, bitch.
They getting cut. That's all that's happening. Yeah, because what I've noticed about Microsoft is that they. I got this fucking music is loud. What I've noticed about Microsoft is like what they'll do is normally if they buy a company and they realize the workplace culture is toxic, they'll clean house. Like, They were about to clean house at Mixer because there was some stuff going on at Mixer before they sold it off. There was a whole bunch of crap that was going on there, and they were like, and people were like, yo, Microsoft got to do something. They was like, and then they were saying like, yo, we're going to investigate. And then somebody else told me like, yo, how Microsoft is real strict about that stuff. Like, yo, they cleaning house. And they literally clean house because they just sold that joint. They're like, you know what? We ain't even cleaning house. Yeah, y'all go to Facebook.
Yeah, and Facebook is even less nice about that shit. Facebook is, well, we'll talk about Facebook gaming another time. But yeah.
I made a joke. I made a joke earlier on my Twitter. I was like, shit. So they buying up all these companies. They might as well bring Mixer back. And I was like, oh wait, they sold it. They sold all that business to Facebook.
Yeah. They can't.
They can't. They sold it to Facebook.
That's alright. Twitch and YouTube can duke it out. I hope Facebook gaming falls on its face. I don't like Facebook gaming for a lot of reasons.
Facebook gaming, they need some work. I told
they
people
need a lot of work.
Oh man, this is my camera. Okay, so now we can go into it a little bit. So I told people about Facebook gaming where I feel like it was a good opportunity. But my whole thing about Facebook gaming is I feel like it's gonna be pay to grow over there. Like, like, you know, Twitch
because everything else on Facebook is pay to grow.
Exactly. Like, that's pretty much how everything is on Facebook and Instagram. It's pay. It's really. If you really want to grow, you gotta pay to grow. So, what I thought was like, right now it was so. In the beginning, of course, it was new, and I was just like, yeah. So people were getting a lot of organic reach, and people were getting a lot of organic traffic to their streams and their web pages and whatnot. I was just like, I'm not sure how long that's gonna last, because at some point, Facebook's gonna be like,
see it.
Facebook's gonna be like, we want you to pay for this now, because we want you to pay, and it's gonna be pay to grow. And I'm like, yo, so literally, it's just gonna be like, okay, who has the bigger wallet, and you can win on Facebook. And now it's actually
all this. Go ahead, finish that up.
And now it's actually turning into that, where I see some of my folks and their Facebook partners, like, they're doing a lot of Facebook ads now. Like, I'm scrolling on Facebook, and I see one of my friends on Facebook Gaming that she has an ad, or he has an ad, and I see her ad, and then I see another guy that I'm friends with, he see his ad, and then I see his. I'm like, yep, it's starting already.
What's funny about that? You see the ad, but you may or may not get the notification that they go live. And it's not like Twitch, where it's like a glitch every now and then. Twitch has gotten a lot better about that. Facebook may just decide, hey, they didn't pay us to find this month. We're not going to tell nobody they're going live.
And they have their own app too, Facebook, like a separate Facebook gaming app as well.
Me and Danger talked about this previously. So Facebook, there's been a big socio-political thing saying, nobody charge up about this, please. I'm going to use a couple buzzwords. Everyone, just already turn your calm dial all the way up, please. Facebook has been attacked and been accused of being liberal. Now, the people who have said that were generally really far right-wing. But Facebook has this really shitbird sensitivity problem. I'll give you an example. I got a 24-hour jailbreak on Facebook. Just nobody knew about it, because when a lot of people get their jail on Facebook, they go create another Facebook account. I'm too old to have, man, one Twitter, one Facebook, one Instagram. That's fucking enough. I'm not doing that shit. So I don't need so much attention that I'm like, hey, if I get banned, I'm just gonna bitch on another Facebook. No, the 24-hour timer can just do it. I've had to wait more than 24 hours to use technology. I don't need to deal with it. Okay. Anyway, so here's what I got banned for. To be triggered. Yeah. Here's what I got banned for on Facebook for 24 hours. A buddy of mine, a mutual connection of me and Danger's, actually posted a thing, and this applies to me even more, because y'all see me, I'm drinking on stream like regular. One of my army buddies posted a meme that said, it was a lady choking her own shadow, and it said, when I find that bastard who's been drinking all my alcohol, this is what I'm gonna do to them. Okay. And I said, yeah, when I find that fucker, I'm gonna kill him. I got banned for threatening and intimidating.
Oh, man.
A shadow. A meme with a shadow. Okay, and this is me and Danger have had this talk. A couple others.
Because it was threatening language. Because I got a warning for saying I was gonna beat I said I was gonna beat my nephew up on Facebook. I got a warning. They were like, hey, you can't do that. I'm like, what?
Facebook is a shitty sludge pile. But here's the thing, though, right? So me and Danger had to talk about this. About this particular instance. Danger was the first one to say it to me, but then I noticed it happening everywhere. Because I've seen a lot of people on Twitch, they're like, I'm going to try Facebook, and then they dump it and come right back to Twitch. I drink on stream, I curse, I tell dick jokes on Twitch TV. I'm not safe for shit anything. I'm not safe. I'm NSFF, not safe for Facebook. I'm gonna keep that. That's actually pretty funny.
NS.
So you can say fuck. You can say fuck on Facebook, and you will get banned. In fact, your account, your privileges to stream on Facebook gaming may get suspended indefinitely because you said fuck once, and somebody went and reported you. But you can look at the very next stream, and it is raw porn, and report it, and the algorithm didn't pick it up, and no one reviewed it, and that stream did not get in any trouble.
Somebody was playing Resident Evil 3 with Jill Valentine with a nude mod. So she was running around with a shotgun, butt ass naked, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I just watched. I was like, let's see how long this stays up. Hour and 15 minutes stayed up before they finally. I was like, oh, they finally shut it down. I sat there and watched this person beat a whole level in that hour, yo, with the nude mod on. I was like, bruh, and it was a lot of that going on Facebook gaming. Like somebody had the GTA mod where they had a nude mod. They was running around GTA 5, stealing cars and stuff, butt ass naked. I was like, bruh, that stream was up for like 3 hours before they cut it off. Like it was the Wild Wild West on Facebook gaming at one point. Yes, I've seen that before. RE stream, yes, 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, before it got shut off. Like when I came in there, it was like 30 minutes in. Dude, I have an entire list of that crap, bruh.
Yeah, okay, so LB in my channel says you cannot do anything that is close to adult on Facebook. Let me point out that, and I said this in text, I want to point this out to everybody else who might want to address this mentality. Facebook says you are not allowed to. Whether or not they enforce that, or whether or not you get caught. Because you know what else you're not allowed to do? Meth. Guess what? Facebook is so dependent on nothing but algorithms to run everything. If you just change a color or a pixelation or a resolution or an angle or a speed, you can get away with whatever the fuck you want. There are 2 and 3 hour long movies that have been on Facebook for months just because they changed a little bit in the color scheme or they changed the play speed and the algorithm didn't catch it. Facebook gaming is a trash fire. YouTube I might do. Maybe. I'm gonna talk to Danger about that later.
YouTube is it's just strict about the music. Because
I
it's just strict about the music. Strict about music. Of course, movies don't do the Twitch meta on YouTube. YouTube will shut your stream off for a movie or a TV show. Like it'll just like if it's up for 10 minutes, it's going. It's coming up. They shut my stream off because I and this is like maybe a few months ago. Fire Only was like, "Don't do that again, Fire Only." Where I was watching some anime online, and I always multi-stream, so I was like, yeah, Twitch, Facebook, man. So the whole time, Twitch, I was on Twitch and YouTube. Like 10, 15 minutes in, somebody tells me, hey, your YouTube stream just cut off. And I was like, huh? And Twitch stream was still going, but YouTube joint was going. And I was like, I've only been on for like 20 minutes. Like, they cut you quick. So just know that YouTube's only strict is really strict with movies and music.
I know why. There's actually a reason behind it. This comes back to us discussing business.
Yes.
So YouTube has TV, movies, and music streaming services. And YouTube is all one company, and those licenses all apply to that one company. So if they step over that line, they will get their legal teeth kicked the fuck in. Twitch doesn't have the same constraints exactly, so they can get away with a little bit more. But that's why, because there's YouTube Music, there's YouTube TV, there's Google Movies, etc. Yes. So YouTube can't let you get away with it. Because say some record exec at Sony gets pissed or tunes in, I'm gonna watch Danger's voice, and some Danger's playing some music, and he's like, hey, that's our guy. Sue YouTube right now, and YouTube will get their shit kicked in by that record exec. So,
yeah, that's what happened in the beginnings of YouTube, where people were doing. Lupin said like, YouTube shut off my DJ stream because I was playing music. Because I'm a DJ playing music. Like, yo, in the beginning of YouTube, that was one of the metas on YouTube, whatever. That was getting a lot of play. Was people playing music and playlists. So people were getting a lot of views and watch time on their YouTube channel just for their DJ sets or whatever. And then YouTube, the record label was kicking YouTube's ass back then. So like now it's like built into YouTube to detect any song that's copyrighted. Like
it's funny because DJ streams are huge on Twitch.
Yeah, like me, and you could you could still do the DJ streams on on
YouTube.
on YouTube. But it's just like, yo, you got to get like all types of permission on that. Like, it's crazy.
Yep.
Like, there's some DJs that have stuff on YouTube. I'm like, I don't even know how you have this on here.
Or it's got to be your original work only. Like, it's got to be some shit like, say, Armin van Buuren, who I think makes wonderful extended trance tracks. Armin van Buuren could get away with streaming his music. We'll just say not because he owns it, quote unquote, but like if it's all his trance and he doesn't use anyone else's samples or remix anything, then you can stream indefinitely because there's no copyright trigger. But yeah, that's the only time you can stream that music is if it's yours or if you have the legal permission if it's licensed. I fortunately have permission from 2 or 3 artists that don't have their shit locked up in electronic licenses. So I mean, they have it copyrighted. Like I have permission from here in Arizona, because y'all know RandomArizonaDude, that's part of my thing is being a local boy in his roots. But I have permission from like one local rock band, one local heavy metal band, one electronic artist, and then an electronic artist out in Cali who don't have their stuff locked up in electronic licensing yet. So if they come in and they say, hey, stop playing my shit, I will comply, but I have to comply. But since they're not on a big record label, well, the one metal band here in Phoenix, they're on a record label, so I have to get paperwork permission, but I was given paperwork permission if I wanted to use it. But yeah, if they come into my stream and they go, hey, stop, I have to comply, I will comply. But that's how I can get away with it. In fact, right now you're hearing my boy JC++ out in the Bay Area. That's why I can play this stuff without any problems, because it's not in the database.
Gotcha. Yeah, YouTube is real strict on that. Like, you know, I've been streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake for a little bit, and you know, some of that music in the game is copyrighted because, you know, what they've done is, and since PlayStation 1 days, they used to always sell the music as a separate original soundtrack, like a separate CD. They always so like there's music in the game that's classic to the game that I'm like, I'm getting a copyright strike on the game, and it's like, yeah, because this music is licensed.
That's in another game. What is my gaming obsession? Fallout. So some of the stuff has fallen into public domain, but not all of it, because the record companies keep going back and pushing to renew the licenses. So some of that old timey shit from the 40s and 50s is still copyrighted, and I haven't had the DMCA strikes, but I have had my VODs muted. I forgot, because that old timey music is still licensed.
I forgot what it's public domain is like 70 years, something like that. It's like 70 years before it becomes public domain, and it's like
if certain legal criteria is or is not met.
Yeah, and like
there's shit that Disney has been using for almost a century. It's still Disney trademarked.
Yeah, there's some loophole. Goddamn good. I saw a whole video on this on YouTube. I just can't remember what the loophole is, but there's a loophole where they can keep renewing it or something like that. Because I think, like, Mickey Mouse was supposed to be, like, public domain, like, 20 or 30 years ago. Because Mickey Mouse is over 100 years old.
Yeah, that mouse is fucking, he's old as shit.
Public domain is 50 years.
Yeah.
Public domain
but
is 50.
I think if it's something like an active trademark, like Mickey Mouse, for example, I think that's the loophole. But like, for example, if it's like a musical track or a movie and they're not remaking it, they're not remastering it, they're not revitalizing it, whatever, that's what falls into public domain, unless they renew for copyright. I think that's the big thing, is it's public domain unless they renew for copyright. And Disney knows, I mean, we know Disney's big money. And I think at 100, it is public, period. Okay, so we just got to figure out when Mickey Mouse was pooped out. But you know what? I think
like 1912 or something like that. It's like, it's old, bruh. Like
you know what it is? I think it's because Mickey Mouse has been remanufactured so many times. So I think modern Mickey Mouse is copyrighted. But I bet if you were to go back to the OG shit, like Steamboat Willie and back, you might be able to get away with something. Maybe, but you'd have to like push. Let's see, 10 star, 2024, Mickey goes public. Okay, interesting.
They're gonna renew that. Two
They'll
years.
Figure out a way.
2 years, because they've been doing it for years already. So I'm like, I forget the loophole. There was a whole video on this that I saw. and they said this is the loophole, and this is why a bunch of stuff. Mickey Mouse was like the main one they named, but it was like 2 other ones. I was like that I didn't even know that were just as old as Mickey Mouse, and they were like, yeah, but the companies keep doing something else, and then there's some things that are like nobody knows who owns it, but then people are scared to use it because they're scared of somebody popping up saying I own it.
Yeah, here's what's funny. Speaking of people being dumb tight with IPs. Okay, so I'm dating myself here. Although everybody knows me and Danger are not 18. But EverQuest, back when EverQuest was popping, I forget what it was, but I had a character whose name started with MC something or other. Now, for those of you who don't know, my last name starts with MC. But I took a break from EverQuest for a couple of weeks, and I came back, and my character had a completely different name. And they took it off because they didn't even state it legally. They were just like, the MC is also copyrighted by McDonald's, so we don't want Mick something, blah, 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 was their basic version. They threw some dipshitty legalese in there, but because it just started with MC something or other, they struck my name from the list and gave me a random ass something or other. Wow. So that's some of these companies. That's how tight, that's how scared people are to go after the historic brands like McDonald's. Oh, here's one, Fallout.
Fallout.
Yes. So Fallout got a cease and desist from Coca-Cola.
Oh, because of Coca-Cola?
Because the bottles, they were able to get them on the bottles. So in later Fallout games, you see a different shape on a bottle with a cease and desist because they got a cease and desist. Now the prior designs from before the cease and desist are still legal. They can still make money on them, but they can't do whatever the cease and desist addressed going forward because the language had to get cleared up in the contract with Coca-Cola. But yeah, Fallout got a cease and desist. Those bottle caps I make, those Fallout bottle caps, I can't sell them on the open market. Not allowed. And like there's like Etsy stores, but if Etsy catches you selling that stuff, they'll shut it down. But when I was at the convention here in Phoenix a handful of years ago, before the Umbrella Corporation hit us with the C virus, little joke there, y'all. I talked to these ladies who were selling little collectors hand-painted bottle cap art, and I was like, y'all ever do Fallout bottle caps? They went, yeah, we did for a week, and then we got a cease and desist from Etsy and Bethesda. I was like, they got it after a week? Holy shit. So yeah.
Okay, so the actual law. This is what the actual law says about the Mickey Mouse and the copyright law. So, yes, fire only. This law does exist because of Disney. So, Disney asked for an extension on the copyright law, which entitled them, which entitled. So basically, Disney asked the government for an extension on the copyright law after Mickey Mouse was supposed to go in the public domain. So the government gave them 14 years renewal period, and then they said after the 14 years, if the copyright holder is still alive, you can extend it another 14 years. Of course, at the end of that 14 years, he was still alive, so they extended it. So then he asked for another extension. They was like, okay, you can extend it for another 28 years from now. So of course, in that time, of course, he died. But then they went to court again and extended it to 75 years.
Hey.
Then they went to court. So the last time they went to court, so they kept going to court and asking the government for an extension. The government kept giving them an extension. That's pretty much all it was. So then the last time they went to court, they asked the government for another extension after the 75. The government said, okay, 95. But now that 95 is about to be up in 2023, actually. Not 2024. Somebody in the chat said 2024. So Mickey Mouse is...
So it's good through 2023 and it's done in 2024. Might be how it should have been for the top.
So this again prolonged the expiration of Mickey's copyright and conferred with Disney with protection till 2023.
Interesting.
So next year, Mickey Mouse is supposed to go into the public domain.
Oh, Mickey's ass is gonna be on the street, which is actually funny because there's a whole YouTube set of shorts called "Prostitute Mickey," because Mickey is no longer the icon in a fictitious world because Hannah Montana beat his ass out.
Lupin.
So now Mickey's a hoe.
Lupin says December 31st, 2023 is when it ends. I don't have the information here, so I'm gonna go with that.
But yeah, it's up in 2024. It's through 2023 and it's up in 2020, the beginning of 2024. Yeah, so going off of that information, I'm not bothering to look it up because
they're gonna ask him.
They're gonna try to figure something out.
They're gonna ask him for another extension, which I'm doubt they're gonna get granted one because it's like, bro, we gave y'all 100 extra years.
Mm-hmm.
Like the original copyright holder been dead.
Been dead.
Because they gave him the extension initially because they were like, okay, 14, we'll give you 14 more years. He was Walt Disney was still alive at the end of the 14 years, asked for another extension. And then they gave him another 28 years, but then he died in that time. But
unless he transferred the copyright to Roy Disney, I believe his brother.
Yeah, of course the copyright transferred, and they kept asking for an extension, and that's how it's continued. I think the heir now is on. I used to know her name. But, yeah,
let's see.
His granddaughter, his great granddaughter she's in her 40s. She's like in her 45, something like that. High school friend is on the team for fighting for a public domain. The same friend that was previously at Disney. Lupin got inside info. Hey, find out if Walt Disney is frozen. That's what I want to know.
Well, if he is, they should let him go. Another goddamn Disney joke. I didn't even drink that much. All right, folks. So we hit up Blizzard, we hit up Activision, we hit up Microsoft. We touched on previous references. We let y'all know that most of the arguments are just random ass typical internet fucking farting and flailing, which is about normal on the internet anyway. Because that also applies to Star Trek. Every generation. I don't like this new Star Trek. Shut up, asshole.
You still ain't watched the
Discovery.
Latest one. You still ain't watched Discovery. So
I know. I will eventually.
Who's in that crowd now?
I know. No, here's the thing though. I'm not attacking. I'm not watching it. It's not real Trek. I just ain't got around to it yet. That's it. I'm
like, you ain't even watched it.
I've watched Picard over and over again, and I'm watching Deep Space Nine through again because Ben Sisko is the man.
I haven't finished Discovery, but I've watched a lot of Discovery. I think I haven't watched the last season.
I think you know what I'll do is I might start watching an episode or two every couple of days just to start.
Star Trek Lower Decks is funny as hell. I've been meaning to watch that too. I gotta watch that.
Yes. It's okay. So take Rick and Morty, but not quite as how do I say this? I almost say not as arrogant or toxic of a fan base, but I'm specifically talking more about the show than Star Trek fans, because Star Trek fans are pretty arrogant and shitty and toxic. But you don't hear every third Lower Decks Star Trek fan talking about how other people aren't smart enough to watch Lower Decks like you hear about Rick and Morty. Because Rick and Morty's not smart. It's just chock full of pop culture references. It's not intelligent. It's just loaded. It's fine. Rick and Morty's funny, but it turned into a hype train at one point. Too much of a hype train for its own boots. Lower Decks is pretty funny. Lower Decks is a love letter to everything that has come before. Just like a lot of Picard. Picard is a love letter to everything that came before.
Yes. I gotta watch it.
And then the other new one, Prodigy, actually looks like it's kind of dope. Prodigy looks like it's going to be cool, like Batman Beyond was cool. Star Trek Prodigy. So I've only seen what's been written. I haven't watched it, but somehow another Starfleet ship, but uncrewed, makes it out to the Delta Quadrant. Somewhere. So kind of on the tails of Voyager's story, but it's in the future. And these kids that are refugees in a shitty scenario find the ship and start figuring out how to use its systems. And their mentor is a Nero-imprinted hologram of Captain Janeway.
Wow.
And what's funny is they got so tight with the Janeway accuracy. Like, her body language and facial expressions are really good. And half the time you see her ass up on the bridge with a fucking cup of coffee. Because Janeway will kill somebody if she doesn't get her coffee in the morning.
Yes.
And as much as Cisco and Archer were my boys, I relate to that. Well, no, Cisco had his rack to genome, so that's the thing. But like Janeway, it was a cultural point. Like, you constantly hear in the Star Trek universe quoted Janeway, there's coffee in that nebula when they needed power to get the replicators running.
Yes, I just saw this. They ordered 2 more seasons of it too. I did not even know this existed. Yes.
Yeah. It looks cool. Like I said, it's for families. It's families safe, but it's got that gritty edge like Batman Beyond had, where shit gets a little rough and a little dark. Although Star Trek, I do like. Some people are complaining about it. I get why. I like that Star Trek is off of the regular public TV domain, because like season 1 of Picard, motherfucker gets his eyeball ripped out. So I'm just saying, like, I like that they're like, this isn't the clean, sanitary, surgically hermetic Federation where everyone's happy. Like, ugly shit happens in the new Star Treks. Hell, episode 1 of Lower Decks, Homeboy gets a chunk of his thigh sliced off with a batleth. And him and Homegirl in the cartoon start screaming with the whippy tongues like fucking cartoons and Nickelodeon and shit. Like, I mean, it's funny as hell. I like where Star Trek is going. I'm not gonna complain about it.
I gotta check this out. I'm like, huh?
I haven't seen Prodigy yet, but I can easily recommend Lower Decks. Okay. Easily recommend it. I got all the Star Trek to catch up on. I guess when I finish Deep Space Nine this time, I'll start watching the new Star Trek. And Discovery. I'm gonna watch Discovery just for you, big man.
I gotta watch Discovery is really good. And then, I liked Michael Bunham because she was on, when I was watching Walking Dead, I enjoyed her character there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm
gonna check that out.
Put a pretty girl in there, I'm like, I'll check it out. Yeah. I really don't have much more gaming news other than, there's a rumor that Sony is trying to do something backwards, because Sony has not been good with. One of my knocks against Sony is it was like they started off doing backwards compatibility and then they like completely abandoned it. And then it looks like they're trying to go back to it now with the PS5.
Backwards compatibility is tough from a software standpoint. It is difficult. As much as I want to punch Sony in the mouth, I sympathize.
So, because Xbox is doing it, and it's always done it. Backwards compatibility with all their stuff. A 360 could play Xbox game, and then Xbox One could play 360 and Xbox game. So they've always maintained their backwards compatibility. Where Sony was doing that because PS2 could play PS1 games, and then the early version of the PS3 could play PS2 games, and essentially since it could play PS2 games, it could play PS1 games. And then PS4 was just like, nah, it's not backwards compatible at all. And then now with PS5, I can play all my PS4 games on it.
Yeah, the other company that did well with backwards compatibility, even though they kind of cornered it for money a little bit, was Nintendo. Because like if you got, like say for example, if you have the Wii, like I can't tell you how many times I bought Final Fantasy IV. I bought it on the Super Nintendo, then I bought it on the Wii years later. Then I got the original re-release on PC that was the 3D pop-up version. Yeah. Then I got it again on the DS. Then I got the Pixel remaster on the DS. And then I got the 3D remake, remaster, and the Pixel remaster on the PC. Although that new Pixel remaster, that's the shit. I'm a big fan of that. I did a stream most of the way through that game. That was badass.
The reason they don't want that crossplay is because of backwards compatibility. They don't want to keep having to support it. Yeah, but I know the fans want to win it. So one rumor that started this week was PS3 games titles showing up in the PS5 store. So there's been a video that's going around where some people were seeing PS3 games pop up in the PS5 store. So now there's a rumor where like
it might not be backwards compatibility. It might be shelled or emulated, and then as long as you get it in the store, it works. So that was what the Wii did.
So that's what I'm thinking now. So like what I'm thinking is the PS3 games are just going to be digital. Like, look, you can get the PS3 games on the PS5, but they're all going to be digital from the store. Because that's kind of what they do with some of the older titles, like because PlayStation has a section of their store called PlayStation Classics, and it'll be like the OG Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, the Wii did that. You could get old Nintendo and Super Nintendo games on the Wii.
So like Sony has like this whole section where it's PlayStation Classics, and it's like all those old game PS1 and PS2 titles, where like, and they're all emulated digital on the store. You can just download them from the store and you have them, older games. So I'm thinking now what they're gonna do is they're gonna do that. My prediction is they're gonna do that with the PS3 titles, where they're gonna be digital on the store. You can buy them on your PS5 and download them. But no, Sony hasn't said anything officially. Some folks think it's a glitch because, you know, all those games that they showed up are also available on PS Now, which is somewhat similar to Xbox Game Pass. Sony said they're coming up with their own official version of Game Pass, similar to what Xbox has. They haven't said what they're gonna call it, but Sony said, "Hey, we're coming out with like our own version of it." I feel like PlayStation Now is that already, but I think they're just gonna take PlayStation Now and restructure it. So basically, what I think is gonna happen is they're gonna take PlayStation Now, call it something else, tweak and retool it to mirror what Xbox Game Pass got going on. Like, okay, PlayStation Now, they already have that. I'm like, wait, PlayStation Now is pretty much PlayStation Game Pass now, but they're just gonna repackage it, retool it, and call it that, and then sell it back to us. And just so Sony can compete. That's what I think is gonna happen. So that's one rumor that's out there. Besides, you know, all the Xbox Bethesda talk, Xbox Blizzard talk.
It's alright though. That'll be a good move for them.
So like, if you're in my Discord, anybody, if you have access to my Discord, I'm put a link in the chat for my Discord. If you're ever in my Discord, I have a section in my Discord. I have two sections in my Discord. They're grayed out, so they're grayed out a little bit because you'll get like 1 million notifications if I didn't do that. Under gaming in my Discord, it's called Gaming Deals and Gaming News. So every day there's gaming. I have deals for games that I have a bot that scours the internet and just throws them all there. So if you need to find a deal for a game that's out, or you want to see what deals are out for games, it's all in that Discord, in that Discord section. And then there's one called Gaming News, where like I scour like IGN, GameSpot, all that stuff, and it puts it all there, and you can get all the gaming news for like the week or the day there. It's been there for the last year. I've had this there. So a lot of times when I want to know,
Danger's Discord, his Discord is way more active than mine.
My Discord is not that active, and I need to be more active in my Discord. But in my Discord, I've been having those two things going for about a year. So anytime I would need to know what's going on in gaming and with gaming news, I go there and I look and I'm like, oh, this is what's going on, because it keeps it nice and neat for me. It's just a lot of the gaming companies, they tweet all the news, and I have all the tweets there. And then you can click on them and read more. They're all there in that Discord. So, come holler at me in my Discord, It's mainly just me. Yeah, it's mainly just Fire Oni in there. Fire Oni.
That's pretty much me and Marath in my Discord. By the way, folks, I have new commands.
I drop in your Discord when it's time to chat. I'm like, oh yeah.
I got a lurk too. My new admin Marath actually does IT stuff, and he was able to get into my Nightbot manually, and now I actually have lurk and unlurk commands like a real fucking streamer.
Yeah.
And I got a sus command too, which I think is funny. Get in there and type exclamation sus in mine. By the way, Danger's name is gonna pop up. Y'all need to go follow that man. You're gonna notice he looks just like me the more you watch him. Yeah, Marath set that up for me. Yeah, Marath set that up for me. We're getting better and better. We're trimming those. But we gotta call it for the night, folks, because that's what I need next. I need a shout-out command. I do. I'm working on it, Holly. My brain doesn't retain code that well.
Well,
Well, because I'm usually like drop the bomb. Oh wait, there it is. Look, I do have a shout out command. Now I forgot. I just forgot because I didn't build it.
The shout out command is this. That's the default one, and I just use the default one. But what I do is I put the default one into my stream deck. So anytime I want to shout somebody out, it'll just do the normal default shout out.
Yeah.
With their name. I just have it automated for like somebody like yourself, a bunch of folks on my stream deck. So if you do shout out, no, let's say if I do shout out, let's say Holly, what's up Holly? It'll just shout her out. The shout out command works for anybody.
Yes, mine too. So I gotta roll for the night, folks, because I gotta work in the AM, the early AM.
So do I. And I gotta study some more.
Y'all, hey, Danger, you want to help me raid somebody?
Who should we raid? Who's on? Let's see.